So why should a guy who lost his 18-year-old brother 10 months ago talk to you about happiness? A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a very good morning to all of the young people sitting here, the young brains, the future of tomorrow. Before I talk about happiness, I need to tell you something. There's nothing wrong in being happy, and yes, you heard that right. There's a certain stigma associated with being happy after you lose a loved one. The family is already affected enough, They're going through a great loss. They've lost a loved one. And on top of that, they're expected not to wear colorful clothes. They're expected not to listen to music. They're expected not to go to weddings. I need to go on the record saying, happiness, ladies and gentlemen, is a fundamental right. It is in your hands. You are allowed to be happy no matter what. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, happiness, as more and more science tells us, is a muscle. The more we use it, the more we flex it, the better we get at it. The more you think you are happy, the more happier you'll actually be. But how do you use a muscle when your entire body is paralyzed? Yes, I'm referring to my brother's death. With my brother passing away, such an amazing guy he was, full of life, and words are not enough, ladies and gentlemen, to describe the amazing guy he was. He was my best friend. I lost him. Life was not going to be the same for me. I had to take care of my parents. My parents had to take care of me. I had to take care of my entire family, complete a degree in law, and on top of that, keep my sanity intact. And something which was common to everybody who came to our house back in December last year was that they told me, be strong. Now, I'm sure they all meant well. I'm sure they all loved me. They were there for me. But then there is something fundamentally flawed in being strong. Most of which goes back to the fact that when we are strong, most of it is just acting strong. Most of it is simply putting a wheel on your face, a mask on top of your face, and not coming to terms with your emotions, not accepting your emotions the way they are. That sows the seeds for deep-rooted psychological problems. And there's no denying of the fact that psychological issues are on the rise. We see stray shooting events, we're seeing suicides on the rise. Heck, no one ever claims to be happy. If you ask somebody, are you happy? No, I'm stressed. If you ask somebody, are you happy? No, I've got a presentation tomorrow. No, I've got homework to do tomorrow. Oh God, I've got so much of work. I'm not happy. There's so many things happening in life that life almost seems so complicated and difficult. But what I've learned in the last 10 months, and with my brother passing away, ladies and gentlemen, is life is fairly simple. It is the small, little, simple things which you enjoy in life, which truly matter in life. Now, how do you propose to enjoy the sunrise or a flower or smile at a stranger when you've got multiple presentations to give, you've got a boss who's pissing you off, you've got a bad company at work, you've got to drive back home to work, and then you've got so many things to do. You've got to pick up groceries, you've got to pick up flowers, and at the end of the day, you've got to look like a sane human being for the charity dinner. The answer, ladies and gentlemen, lies in mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Various dictionaries explain or describe mindfulness as simply the art of being. No judgment whatsoever, simply being and living in the present moment, noticing things in a finer detail, in a greater detail, and just living the moment as it is. Now, when we think of mindfulness, since most of us are youngsters here and mindfulness seems to be a completely alien concept, we think of a Himalayan monk sitting on top of a mountain wearing a crimson robe, not eating and speaking for days in and days out and just chanting some random mantras. Let me tell you guys, it's not that complicated. Today, I'm going to share with you certain techniques which I used in order to cope up with the death of my brother and live a happy life. And I again say, you are allowed to live a happy life. That, ladies and gentlemen, is in your hands. Thank you so much once again. So what is meditation? What is mindfulness? Generally confused as the same thing, meditation is the path to mindfulness. I'm going to talk to you about meditation. How do you meditate? Whenever I talk to somebody about meditation, the first question that comes to my mind is, how do you meditate? Simple. There's no way to meditate. Like every person has a different way to talk, every person has a different way to walk, every person has a different way to speak, every person has a different way to meditate. What I do, and the simplest form of meditation there is that you just sit down, maybe after a shower, in a quiet room, maybe turn the lights off. Again, it's totally up to you. Sit down in a quiet environment, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. That's meditation. It is as simple as that. And the benefits of meditation, as the days pass by, more and more research, more and more science is telling us that meditation is an excellent way to live a life. It gives us so many benefits. I've actually I've noted down a few benefits of meditation. Number one, now I'm referring to a study by Miss Emma M. Sapala. She's a professor of psychology at Yale University. Now she says that meditation helps you cope up with depression. Meditation and mindfulness helps you cope up with stress. And I can see all those you who are writing down probably are suffering from stress and depression. And meditation helps you cope up with the day-to-day stress. Oh my God, so much is happening in my life. It gives you the compassion. Don't worry, you can continue writing down, no problem. It gives you the compassion to deal with life. Simply living your life in a simple, non-complex form. Meditation is an excellent way. Now, how do I meditate after I've lost my brother? I was fortunate enough to be introduced to the concept of meditation around a year and a half before he left. And I couldn't meditate up to 2 months after he left. Every time I would close my eyes, the sight of his crushed car would come in front of my eyes. I was there when the accident took place. I was, by luck, present. I didn't know what to do. Meditation wasn't going to help me. But let me tell you something. It helps. It always helps. I did some research, I did some digging around, and I found out that there's something called visualization. So you find out different visualization techniques which help you siphon off the thoughts you don't need while meditating and bring in the thoughts you need while meditating. Now, what did I do? The technique which I devised was fairly simple. I would imagine a beam of light, a yellow, bright beam of light, leaving my brother's crushed car. Leaving my brother's crushed car for the heavens. And I would tell myself, every time I would see that sight, that is my brother. The ultimate truth of life has fallen upon him. Very unfortunately so, very, very early in life. But I have to come to terms with it. I have to accept it. And the sooner I do it, the better it is. The better it is for my own mental health. The better it is, it'll make me less of a liability. Because I had to take care of my parents who had lost an 18-year-old son. That's a huge deal, ladies and gentlemen. That's a huge deal. So I used visualization meditations, and fortunately enough, today it's almost going to be 10 months. I'm meditating regularly, and it helped me a great, great deal, come a long way from what happened back in December to where I am today. So go home today. Just try and sit down. 1 minute. Just sit down and focus on your breath, and you'll realize after a couple of weeks, you cannot go much longer without meditating. It's an excellent, excellent way and technique which can help you, whether you are 8 or 80, Whether you are an art student or a science student or a lawyer or a technician or a plumber or a driver, everybody's got stress in their life. And what meditation does is simply it gives you a certain minutes, some minutes in the day to calm yourself down. You sleep, you rest to rest your body. Meditation rests your brain. That's meditation for you. Now I'm going to move on to my next topic. Another technique which I use, ladies and gentlemen, which I still use on a daily basis in order to come to terms with what had actually happened and make sense out of my emotions. It is writing things down. Now, more and more research has shown that writing things down at the end of the day, or whenever you like to, has the same psychological benefits as CBT. CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. That's fancy terms for sitting down with a therapist and talking to him about your problems. Now, I'm not saying if you're going through a serious psychological disorder, don't see a therapist. No, you must. But the fact is that most of our problems, most of the issues which we face are in our heads. And if we write things down, it gives us more clarity. It gives us the certain power to comprehend our thoughts, because generally it's not the thoughts that trouble you. It's not the thoughts, it's the chaos of the thoughts in your brain which troubles you. So once you write the things down, and trust me, after writing a page and a half, you'll realize you've run out of problems. You'll realize there's nothing much more to complain about. So today, again, when you go back home, or after you're seeing this video, tonight maybe, after you shower, sit down at a comfortable place, take a piece of paper, and try writing things down. Simply whatever comes to your mind. Whether it's the issues you're facing, or the problem, or a driver which was rash with you, just write it down and you'll realize that it helps you a great deal. That's point number 2 for you, ladies and gentlemen. Point number 3, emotional intelligence. Now, what is emotional intelligence? I'm no psychiatrist. I don't have a formal degree in psychology. But what I make out of emotional intelligence is that it is the ability to comprehend your thoughts and emotions in a better manner. Here's my grievance with the Indian education system. We teach our young ones for 1/4 of their lives, almost 25 years. Some people can actually go beyond that. 25 years of a person's life are spent to teach them how to spend 8 hours of their day. No one ever teaches you how to spend the other 16 hours. No one, ladies and gentlemen, taught me how to deal with my brother's death. No one ever teaches you how to deal with a breakup. We are taught days in and days out about mathematical theories, scientific theories, which is great stuff, which is probably the reason I can connect with you today. But the fact of the matter is that we are humans at the end of the day, and somewhere we are lacking in teaching the human quotient, the human element of education. We are taught about the Pythagoras theorem. And honestly speaking, the last time I used the Pythagoras theorem was when I was writing my class 10 exams. I've never used it after that. But the fact of the matter, thank you so much. Thank you, you're such a wonderful audience. Thank you. But the fact of the matter, ladies and gentlemen, is that most of us will go in for a breakup. We'll probably have troubled relationships. And God forbid, if something like that, something like what happened to me happens to you, there was no formal education. No one ever taught me how to deal with grief, how to grieve my young brother's death. This is where the responsibility, I feel, is on our education system. We have some great technicians out there. We've got some excellent engineers, excellent lawyers, amazing doctors. What we need today is happy human beings. We've got humanoids, you've got artificial intelligence, you've got amazing stuff out there. But let me tell you something. If you are an excellent engineer who's amazing at his craft, but is going through a divorce, mark my words, you can simply not perform at your level best. Or if your wife is giving you a tough time, or if your husband is giving you a tough time, no offense to any particular gender, if your husband is giving you a tough time, you cannot perform well at work. But if you've had a good day with your children at home, somehow you become more creative. Somehow life just becomes easier. And we're just never taught how to be emotionally intelligent human beings. And it's a skill. We've got research that shows that it's a skill, it's an acquired skill. The more we practice it, the more we learn about it, the better we get at it. And more research again has shown that emotional quotient, that is EQ, is much more relevant and important in deciding the success of your life as compared to IQ. I'll give you a small example. There's 4 shops, all selling the same product, same quality of product, same quantity, everything's the same. Who will you go to? The shopkeeper who deals with you with a smile. The shopkeeper who's nice to you. The shopkeeper who probably gives you a discount. There you go, that's emotional intelligence for you. The human to human connection. And while I feel the onus is on our education system, the onus and the responsibility is on the youth of today as well. Before the conference started, I was walking around and I saw most of us were uploading Snapchat stories. Most of us were clicking selfies, we were checking our social media feeds, just seeing our email, instead of talking to the person sitting next to you. Here's what I want you to do today. When you go back home, just try and Google how to be happy. Just try and Google the brain, the functioning of the brain, or the way the brain functions. Just learn various things, various ways with which you can learn about the way your brain functions. All these things are great, gadgets are great, but let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. When I stood outside my brother's crushed car, with him still inside it, when cranes were attempting to get him out, no amount of money, no amount of property, no amount of fancy gadgets or fast cars came to my mind. The only thing that came to my mind was a wish. I wished I could have 5 minutes, just 5 minutes of quality time with my brother. Just 5 minutes, maybe down a beach or maybe by the side of a river. That's all I wished for. No money, no branded clothes, no fancy stuff. It's the human connection which truly matters. It's a sad story which I've had, but let me tell you something. Thank you so much. You're all so kind. Thank you so much. It's a very sad story, but then every sad story does not have to have a sad ending. Your happiness, ladies and gentlemen, is in your hands. It's an acquired skill. You can be happy if you truly want to be. It's very widely said, and I'm going to say it once again, take your broken heart, make it into art. Thank you so much.